tinkering around the house is extremely important too. It just if it really helps you if you start to work on different. I do that myself. It's that I
Yeah.
work on different things because you're getting the feeling of working with your hands. So if you are interested and you're feeling that way, start to tinker around the house.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining this week to In Pursuit of Better. Today we're talking to Andrew Brown, who I found through his daily videos that kind of highlight the importance and the work that people in the trades do. And does a really cool job of kind of telling the story of here's why working in the trades can be rewarding and why it's important. His story is pretty cool and what, kind of sparked his interest in the trade. So I'll let him tell that. And I think that we'll get a lot about out of this conversation. So without further ado, let's jump into the conversation with Andrew. Well, Andrew, again, I wanted to say thank you for spending some time with me this morning here and with the listeners. And really just wanted to give you a chance to start off by telling us what it is that you do and why is it that you do that?
Yeah, and that's a great question. And thanks for having me. Just to give the audience a little context about why I do what I do, really kind of dates back to when I was 23 years old. And it goes back to September 11th, 2001, when I was living in New York City at the time. And the planes had just hit the building. And like everyone else, we were in complete shock. And I had this fire in the belly that I had to do something. I couldn't just sit in my apartment and wait. I feel like I had to do something and help down at ground zero. And I got this crazy idea to give my friend a call in Rhode Island, tell him to come in to the city, and we needed to go down there. So after some convincing, a couple of days after, he showed up at my front door in a big blue truck with a big American flag, and he was dressed up as a tradesperson. He was in overalls, a hard
Hmm.
hat. He had an extra outfit for me. And we raced down the West Side Highway, getting through all these different checkpoints. And people ask me, how did you get through the checkpoints? I can't ever remember how we did, but we did. And we parked the car. And all of a sudden, I found myself on ground zero where the Trade Center once stood. And I spent the entire day working with tradespeople and emergency workers finding survivors. And I was watching the tradespeople on the site finding the survivors, and they had no protection on, and they were using any means necessary to find people, and they were running into unstable structures. And after that experience, when you talk about life changing experiences, not only did it have a life changing experience for me personally, professionally as well. And for a couple of weeks, I had some sleepless nights, and I was working in IT on Wall Street at that time, and I quit my job. Like I literally just had an impact on me to quit my job and to figure out a way to give back to the tradespeople that gave so much that day and obviously throughout history. And another, bunch of sleepless nights. And that's where I co-founded an online tool and equipment business named ToolFetch with my brother about 22 years ago. We still love the business, still going strong today. We sell tools to the skilled trades around the world. So professionals such as welders, carpenters, plumbers, and other blue collar trades. So these are the men and women who are building and repairing our infrastructure, our bridges, our tunnels, our roads. My company reaches them by offering one of the largest online tool and equipment catalogs on the internet with over 1 million different products from 650 different vendors. So products like lifts, cement mixers, drain cleaners, harnesses, stuff like that. That is my way to give back to the skilled trades that gave so much that day. And really, I've been doing this for 22 years and speaking to people in the trades throughout the country, listening to uh, their issues with the skilled trades gap, with wages and everything in between, and just got the courage one day to start putting content up last September on LinkedIn, and things kind of took off, and here
Yeah,
we are today talking about this, hopefully the skilled trades and what we need to do about it.
no, for sure. And was the impetus for like this online business just because of your skill set? Like you in your mind, I'm good at the IT side, so I can start a website. Is that what started you down the road of e-commerce instead of like maybe more traditional trade route?
Yeah, I think it was, we had, well, at least myself and my brother had sort of the know-how on the tech side. And you're going back 22 years ago,
Yeah,
people, not that many people were shopping online. And it was a hard sell to the traditional manufacturers that sell products that, hey, we're selling online and, this is the core audience. It's tradespeople that we're selling products to and really sharing the story. It was a hard
yeah.
road, but I think the technical background that I had made it a little bit easier and the know-how
So
to
how
get
has
that started.
how has that interaction changed over the course of 20 years? Like there wasn't a lot of e-commerce in general in 2003. So how have, I mean, you were at the beginning of it. How have you seen that industry kind of change over the course of time?
Yeah, I in the beginning stages, obviously people, if something's new, like shopping online, people are a little hesitant. Well, I'm gonna buy something online and our typical items, someone could spend $1,000, $5,000, and it's maybe I'm not sure it's an unknown company and maybe my credit card information. That took a long time. That was just people over time felt more comfortable shopping online, and there were a lot of things put in place online to make things more secure. That was just an evolution. That just
Right.
over time. It was a harder sell in the beginning, and mostly it was phone sales
Okay.
and people calling in, and then obviously it evolved to more e-commerce and online. And people today prefer there's a technician or somebody in the field that's doing work. They don't want to call in. They just want to quickly order online. Well, we have our mobile site to do that. But the traditional way of ordering, such as a buyer or purchasing manager wants to call and speak to somebody, well, that's different. We have that. We have a commercial sales side. So it depends, but it
Yeah.
definitely has evolved over the last 20 years or so.
Yeah, because it seems like in our industry, a lot of people it's one of those two ways, like you talked about. Someone's either I don't want to talk to anybody, I just want to go in, click it, and buy it, or some people are like
Hmm.
I know this one guy who knows everything about it, and that's who I'm going to go to. So that's why I was curious at how that has changed for your business model. But I guess if you have those outside sales where people can have the personal connection as well as kind of a really nice platform online, you kind of suit both tastes.
Exactly. Some people want to speak to somebody, like you said, and some people want a hands-off approach and just want to order and move on with their day. We have both.
So let's dive in. You mentioned, traveling across the country, talking to different tradespeople and listening to their issues. What are some of the common things that they're bringing up that they're struggling with in their jobs or in their businesses or things like that?
If you speak to a business owner of a construction company, they're going to tell you it's hard to find people. How do you retain people who already work for the organization, and how do you find new people? It's
Mhm.
just a different generation of obviously how you go about marketing to a younger individual. Just also retirement. So a lot of their technicians and people on site are a little bit older, or at least getting to that mark where, the next 5 years, 10 years, they're retiring. And that percentage is almost about 40%, where men and women are retiring, or at least getting to that age of retirement, and being able to find new people to replace that. That is the challenge that I hear mostly, trying to find the right people, skilled people. And how do we obviously get kids interested in the trades when it's not really spoken about in schools, and when kids are going, when they're turning 17, 18, it's not really discussed in the schools and guidance counselors, teachers, and from parents. So changing that whole perception is key to this whole thing. But that's sort of the challenges. Wages, obviously, if you're speaking to people in the field, recognition,
Mm.
getting the recognition they deserve, and that's kind of where I come in and try to be a voice for the skilled trades, and you know letting people know that what they do on a given day is everything we sort of take for granted, whether it's something you turn on the lights, you flush a toilet and anything in between, that's all done by the skilled trades. And a lot of that is kind of taken for granted. So I kind of highlight that.
Is that what you would consider kind of your mission behind all this? Is just being that person that's going to say, "Hey, I recognize what you're doing, and it's appreciated."
Yeah, it just kind of really kind of dates back to 9/11 and what I saw. It just made such an imprint on me that fire to keep recognizing the skilled trades never died. And I kind of people have asked me like, "Are you happy with what you do?" I said, "I this is what I'm supposed to do," you
Yeah,
know. And it's my way and what I do in my business. Fetch is a way of giving back to those individuals. I guess, a link in the chain. I call it
right.
this whole thing.
Some of your videos kind of mention this cool perspective about guidance counselors, being this free marketing tool for college and universities. What's a message that you would give to someone who is making that decision, right? So they're talking to their counselor, they're talking to their parents, and everyone's kind of pushing them towards the traditional university route. What do you tell someone that says, well, I am kind of interested in it, but what's a career like? Why should I do a career like that? Whether like in blue collar jobs.
Yeah, look, a kid is turning 17, 18. What is the information that is being given to them? And I use this example only because I just kind of did a post today. I was playing Monopoly with my kids, like a kids version, and they had two paths. They either had the college path or just a career path. And the career path was a race car driver, or you could be a singer, a dancer, but there was no mention of a tradesperson. There was no
Mm,
mention you could be an electrician, a plumber. It wasn't even spoke about. And if you read the fine print, it said you're more likely to make more money if you go the college route. So if the game is telling you,
right.
guidance counselors are telling you that, teachers are telling you that, and your parents are saying the same thing because obviously, depending upon how you grew up and what's spoken about in the household, whether they went to college or they had a trades path, there's such an impact. So you're already like pre-programmed at that point where you're sitting down and you're in high school and you're really thinking about the next step. You're kind of leaning towards college. And I just want to be clear, I don't have anything against college because I
Right.
went to college for 4 years. But the thing is, I went to college for 4 years and came out more confused than I was when I came in. And I changed majors.
Yeah.
I was a programmer when I came in, and I was doing programs in C++ and doing advanced calculus, and I changed to business and then I minored in finance. And then I went into IT after school. And then when 9/11 happened, I went into selling tools, skill trades. Like I just zigzagged around. And
Yeah.
you hear this all the time where kids come out of school and they don't necessarily go into the field that they studied for it. And you spend all this money, and now all of a sudden it's like, I don't want to do this. So at least providing the options, or at least they're sitting down with a guidance counselor, that the guidance counselor can say, hey, maybe the college route, I see that you're interested working with your hands, you have some sort of technical ability or mechanical, ability. You might want to consider the trades. I don't think that's spoken about enough. And I don't think guidance counselors are really pushing that because I always, like you said, guidance counselors are marketers for college. It's always kind of pushed. I think it's changing, but I think we
Hmm.
need to do a better job in that area.
Do you think that, and I think we talked about this last time we spoke for a few minutes, but that the idea that, parents and things like that are pushing their kids toward college, or is it for their own sense of pride? Like, because maybe parents haven't been educated that that's a legitimate career as well. Like, what do you think is the source of like that? Is it just that there's a little bit of shame in that kind of work, or what do you think it is?
I think so. I think there's that old adage about, if you work with your hands, you get dirty, there's dirt under your fingernails. Well, why are you going to do that? Go to college, get a white collar job, do something in tech. Why would you want to
Yeah.
do that? Why? That's plan C.
Mm,
That's for the kids that don't make it. Don't be
yeah.
like that person. And I just think that's just ingrained in most parents' way of thinking. Not everybody. I
No,
just want to say
of
it's not
course.
everybody, but even when I went to college, I think that was also pre-programmed in my head. Well, okay, just I'll go to college. It didn't if I can go backwards and uh, have different information. I was given different information. I might have won a different route,
Yeah.
but I just think it's still looked down upon. It still has that old way of thinking that the trades are not uh, a suitable career. But it's funny. I always joke about this. The plumber always has the biggest house on the block. The guy who's running his own plumbing company or electrician,
Yeah.
they do extremely well. I mean, obviously you got to work your butt off to get to a certain level, but you know, there's a lot of successful tradespeople out there they just don't hear about, and that's what we miss. There's no stories that we're not sharing those stories. That's what kids need to hear.
Well, sometimes the boring can be the most profitable, you know. But I mean, I went down that route too, and I went to college, went to grad school, and worked sitting in a cubicle for years. And it's like, man, I was so jealous of the guy just cutting the grass outside the office building, like that he was able to be outside and doing something productive rather than just messing with spreadsheets. So I understand completely, and that's why I think your message resonates with a lot of people. Is like it's like we were pushed down that route too, and then I kind of made the jump back into the trades, and it's like it's so much more rewarding to be able to actually do something with your hands or help somebody with their home. Like to me, it's the rewarding part is what's big for me.
And I feel that as well. There is that sense of, you know what, I built that, I fixed that,
Yeah.
I helped somebody, their heat was down, and I came to save the day. They're like I always call them the heroes of blue. They're like I call them little the
Yeah.
superheroes. They at any point, at any time that something broke in my house, it was a tradesperson who came by to fix it. And they just don't get the recognition. It's more like, oh yeah, thank you. You fixed it. That's what you're supposed to do. But
Yeah.
we don't really think we don't really think that enough, because if we woke up one day and everybody was gone in the skilled trades, we'd be in a bad place.
Well, and I talk about it a lot too. We kind of realized a few years ago when it became, who's essential. It's like we kept working, because we
Mhm.
were essential, and it's like I don't know. There's some benefit too to kind of being recession resistant, and the idea that you're always going to have a job no matter what happens. Your job has to be done. You know,
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, even like you said, if there's the recession, people still need to fix things around the house. There's still maybe certain projects are put on hold, but the basic things about fixing something, the pipe that bursts in your house or something electrical, there's always work that needs to be done. So they are essential and to some degree recession proof in some aspects.
and I want to kind of shift towards people that are already in the trades, or know that they want to go down that route. You kind of talked about the frustrations they have, whether it be wages or training or things like that. What can a business owner or a leader in an organization do to help retain the talent that they have, especially maybe they have a young person that's interested in it? That's something we always look at. If we have a young person that's interested in learning this, it's like let's hold on to them and give them the training they need. But what's your recommendation for leaders in those positions?
Mentorship.
Nice.
Mentorship and training. I mean, if I'm young and I just went into working for a construction company, let's say I do I want to take the route as a plumber. I want to hook up with somebody who has 25, 30 years of experience, who can to some degree take my hand and walk me through all the missteps. And I always believe in mentorship because they can see the pitfalls
Mm-hmm.
where you might spend the next 5 years just going down the wrong route, and you're just spending time, energy, and money doing something incorrectly, where somebody who has experience can put their arm around you and kind of show you the path. And for me personally, I didn't have mentors until later on in life, which I kicked myself. I should have had it younger when I was younger, but it's kind of what it is. But I would tell them to have a mentorship program and a training program to keep these kids engaged and know what they can be. On top of what's the path of climbing the ladder? What does success look like? Okay, you're working in this particular role, but you can get to this level and this level and this level. You can start off. as an apprentice, journeyman, a master, there's they can see the success of stair stepping up and gaining knowledge. But going back to training and mentorship, I think is the most important to retain uh, kids, especially who are just kind of starting out.
I wonder if it's a little bit, when I think back to like working in the corporate world, there was always these information silos, because people don't want to share information because they feel not needed. I wonder if a lot of businesses don't want to train people too well in the fear that they're going to leave. But it seems like the more you kind of pour into the people that work with you every day, the more they're going to appreciate that and want to be part of what you have going there.
Yeah, I think you're going to find that as well. Somebody just is there to retain the information and they move on. That there's only so much you can protect on that aspect. But I think it's more than just that. I think it's more than just wages. It's also if you're working
Yeah.
for a company that stands for something, their core values are in line, and they're doing good work, that type of stuff. I'd be more inclined to take, for me, just me speaking, a lower wage to know that I'm working in a place that really recognizes their workers, they're doing really good work. Because I wouldn't fully chase the money because if maybe I'm working somewhere that I'm getting a higher wage, but I'm not happy. I'm just miserable. People that I hear that they're just working for the money and they're
Yeah.
just miserable. You wake up every morning like, ugh, I gotta go to work. Ugh, I gotta deal with my and like there's so much of that. And the only thing that's keeping that is the wages. And it can't just be the wages.
No, and I've been reading, and I actually interviewed a behavioral scientist on the ideas of the intrinsic and extrinsic motivation, where a lot of people think that it's only those extrinsic factors, those outside factors like money, like rewards that are going to motivate people. But especially in the trades and in construction, those intrinsic, what comes from within, that happiness that you get from seeing, hey, I just built that pride in that. That's what I think we have to kind of, you know, keep growing in people and let them know that that it is okay. And I think that's where again your message is really cool. It's like, hey, there are people out there that recognize what you do. It is appreciated. And I think that's the way that those people are probably intrinsically motivated anyway. That's why they're good with their hands and do that kind of work. So realizing that those factors are going to be really important long term versus just the wage. I mean, those in the books they talk about, like, those factors are only good to a point. Like, you have to meet the baseline financial needs first. Like, someone can't be working for minimum wage and also be extremely happy in what they're doing. But I think once you kind of meet those financial expectations, that those intrinsic factors are really important.
Yeah. And I think also you need to explain to kids as well. If you're working on a bridge, think about when you complete that project, you have people going to work that are traveling over that bridge. You're building that building, you're helping create jobs and businesses that are going to take over in that building.
Mm.
If you're working on an airport, planes, can take off. There's just you can keep compounding that and keep sharing what you're doing. It's not just you're just doing this one thing. You are
Right.
really making a difference. That's why there's that level of accomplishment fulfillment that just needs to be ingrained into kids. That it's just not just a job. There's much more to it, kind of.
No, that's all. Do you think that kids are seeing your videos, or is it more the people like in my position that are like, "Hey, yeah, I agree with what you're saying"? Do you think, or what do you think that demographics looking like?
It depends where it is. So if
Okay,
it's LinkedIn, it depends. It's probably geared towards more business
right.
oriented. But what I found, which is really interesting, and I didn't know this to a handful of videos in, but I didn't realize how many people in the trades are on LinkedIn. I didn't really take that into consideration
Hmm.
that audience is there. A lot of them obviously don't comment and they kind of just watch instead of
Yeah,
engage. But I found that was pretty cool that there are a lot of people in that world. Obviously you go in the TikTok world, which I'm in. That's a slightly younger generation, and the expectations are a little bit different on that platform than they are at LinkedIn. LinkedIn obviously is more about the conversations and the engagement and talking back and forth. But it's really cool to see, to hear people's stories. And it's just exciting. And it's what keeps me going. Just
yeah.
this kid putting it out there about the trades and that it's a viable career option.
We last time we spoke, we talked about because you used to do YouTube videos that were a little bit longer form. Is the idea that these short form videos and that feedback you're getting, is that what is keeping you doing these, or what's the difference there, and why is this one so much more maybe impactful than those longer form?
So I did those a few years ago, mainly because they were driven as more how-tos. How do you drill into concrete? What is in a magnetic drill? Those type of stuff. I did those how-tos and then some type of infomercials or funny things. So I was just kind of running the gamut. Um, that stuff was more difficult, the long form content. I remember shooting those videos the day of and just getting an idea in my head. Hey, I'm gonna go downstairs, and I had a studio at the time and shoot these, and they would bomb. I would do the thumbnail, I would do the video, I'd do the editing. I was like, oh my god, what am I doing? There's too much work here. I'm running a business, and then I started doing the short form stuff, and they were more impactful. And today, people want quick, 30 seconds, a minute. The attention span is just very quick, even if you don't even capture. And you're scrolling through the feed. If you don't capture that person within the first few seconds, they're out. You could have the best message possible. I was spending all this time on the YouTube stuff. It just wasn't getting the engagement there. And also, the target was a little bit different back then, but now it had obviously changed that up being on LinkedIn. But the short form videos and making them engaging, and obviously the style of the editing also keeps someone engaged. So it's a little bit of everything. But if you have a shitty message and you have a good video, people are not going to tune in. So it kind of everything has to kind of work in conjunction with each other.
No, but is there from kind of a business perspective and marketing perspective, is there a reason that LinkedIn and maybe TikTok are working so well versus, because you could in theory share those across all the different platforms?
Yeah.
Is it just that you're focused on one thing now, or what's the reason behind that?
LinkedIn for me is just this is more about the messaging.
Okay.
And people ask me, what are you doing this for? And some people are out there just for their own business, and I'm just gonna push what I sell. I'm more about the messaging. And if it trickles in that somebody is interested in what I do and learn, that's great. And it turns into a conversation, and maybe it turns into a customer. That's not what I'm there for. It's more about the messaging, and on LinkedIn, it's more conversational.
Okay.
Um, on the YouTube stuff, for me, I'm also working on a podcast called The Lost Art of the Skilled Trade. So that's more long form content that would go on YouTube. So I'm working on that. So
Gotcha.
behind the scenes have been um, in the TikTok side, obviously, it's just more about putting the message out there even further. But LinkedIn just tends to be connecting with other um, individuals who are in construction companies and that type of stuff. Just the level of engagement is much higher on that network, and it continues to evolve.
Yeah.
Since I started on it a handful of years ago, it's evolved over time. So it's more powerful and impactful.
No, and I guess that makes sense because you're not doing it just to for the views. You're doing it to kind of build a community and a more
Yeah, I don't
engaged.
I don't look to say, oh my God, I got 100 likes on that. Yeah, okay, it was a good video
Yeah.
versus, well, that video bombed. I mean, it's obviously I want to put out good content, and I don't want it to go flat. But I don't care about the vanity matrix. I've had some videos that really went viral. I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. But I don't get caught up in that. I'm just putting out its content to get the messaging out there. And hopefully, my goal really is one day is to change that one person's perspective on the trade. So a kid, like you had mentioned, sees a video and says, you know what? I like his content. I didn't even know about the trades. I'm interested. That's a win for me.
That's really cool. And it seems like the people that, find success, whatever the level that is, it's because you're passionate behind the message, not just those numbers, right? I mean, if you're doing it for that, people can read into it.
Exactly. Exactly.
Uh, what's the format of the podcast going to be? Is it just you talking, or are you interviewing tradespeople? What's this going to look like?
Mostly interviewing.
Nice.
So talking about the trades, talking to construction companies and industry leaders, people in the trades who are very influential, that type of stuff.
And when's this
So,
going to go live?
good question. It's something, and from a podcast standpoint, because I put out a lot of content. So
Yeah, yeah.
with me and having enough time in place to do the videos, to actually do my job on a day to day, on top of doing a podcast, it's a lot of work, but hopefully relatively soon.
Cool, man. Well, because is your goal to put out like one of those short form videos every day? That's what I mean. At least that's what it seems like. But is that your internal goal?
Yeah, so I do put out pretty much a video a day. Um, that's sort of the goal. And then I throw in obviously some text posts just to change it up, like today, that type of stuff. But my goal is to be on video, and I would want to double the amount of video if I can.
Really?
So it just requires more effort and more processes and automation in place, so I can have enough time to do the content, do my business, do a like all the different things that I want to do.
No, for sure. And we'll start to wrap up here, but I wanted to, if you had one message, one piece of advice for someone that's maybe thought about the skilled trades, is thinking about it, what's something you would tell them?
I would tell them to obviously, um, well, I guess I put into more context. If somebody is interested in the college versus the trades, before you sign on the dotted line for college, think about the other options out there. And if it is a trades route, obviously you want to do your research to get an understanding of what type of career you want to go into. Is plumbing interested in is plumbing an interest to you? Is being an electrician interest as a welder? I think figuring out which direction you want to take, and obviously aligning yourself with somebody or an organization that can share with you a little bit more information about all the different aspects of that particular trade. And then obviously going down the path of trying to find a trade school that makes sense for you. And then not looking at it from a year perspective, but look at it from 3 years, 5 years. Where do I see myself in 10 years down the road? And what do I need to do to level up my skills? Do I need a mentor of some sort? Do I need to get into a training program of some sort? But I also think tinkering around the house is extremely important too. If it really helps you if you start to work on different. I do that myself. It's that I
Yeah.
work on different things because you're getting the feeling of working with your hands. So if you are interested and you're feeling that way, start to tinker around the house. Maybe in my case, my father was somebody who would tinker. So I just naturally watched him and I kind of picked up things. So aligning yourself with somebody maybe also that is handy. Maybe it's an uncle, maybe somebody is in the trades that you know of. And I'm talking to them and getting the right information so you can make that decision if that's right for you. And look, if it doesn't pan out that you go to trade school and maybe it's not right for you, at the end of the day, you still have a skill set that you can apply to so many different things. And it's a nice thing to have the trade skill, maybe have the business side, and it turns into evolves into something else down the road.
No, I don't think I've ever heard that advice to just tinker around the house, but that is really cool because you get that you'll do one thing and get that pride feeling of, hey, I just did that, I fixed it. So that's pretty cool.
Exactly.
Hey, how do people get in touch with you or follow you to learn more?
Yeah, so I am extremely active on LinkedIn. It's under Andrew Brown, under my profile. I'm always open for a DM if you want to talk about the skilled trades, if you want to just talk about tools or anything like that, I'm open to that. Andrew at toolfetch.com. I'm also on TikTok under Andrew L. Brown. So it's under my full name. And under YouTube, if you want to check that out, it's actually under Toolfetch, our company name. And then our website is www.toolfetch.com.
Andrew, can't thank you enough for all this valuable insight. Keep up the videos and the cool messaging, and we'll keep following along, man.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.